So thank you for watching Underground is Female. Today I have Jenai with us.
Thank you for having me.
Love.
Thank you.
Jenai is many things, but she is also an author of her book Blossom, which is a self-help journal, if you could see that. And then this is her poetry, which is called Unfolding. And it's super cute. I read both of them and I went through both of them, and I could definitely tell like how much you put into it and just how much I got the feeling that it was like a project that you needed to do for yourself.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect way to describe those two books.
Yeah, it was like something that you did for yourself and you put it out for the other world.
Absolutely, I did that during I did these during college, and it was Unfolding started after a breakup.
Yeah,
of course. And it just started as me like writing down my thoughts and just kind of. I had this practice where I'm like, okay, I want to journal every day. And then I just kept doing it until I realized I had enough content for like a book.
Wow.
And
so that wasn't your original plan?
No. I've always wanted to write a book, but writing like during that time was I didn't think to put that into a book at that time. And so when I was reading, I was like, well, I think I have enough content for this book, and I'm like, maybe I can do this. And I showed it to my mom. She was like, yes, you can definitely do this. And so I started working, tweaking the poems, switching out, making new ones. And so I had that intention now of writing this book. And so I was definitely was working on creating a piece.
Yes.
And so I made sure everything in that book was kind of connected. Every poem was connected. I'm really proud of that, just because I put it out on Amazon, and so a few months later I saw that Barnes & Noble had picked it up, and I was really proud, just because it was not my intention to make it. Anyways, my mom just kind of encouraged me to share what I had, and I received such great feedback, and I thought to myself, wow, a lot of people can benefit from this book. My uncle, he just started reading it. Even I put that out 2017, and he started reading it, and he was like, listen, I cannot believe, like, he showed me this one poem that he related to. He was like, I cannot believe you wrote this, and so like different people of different ages have been coming to me and saying how much they really enjoyed my book, how much they related to it, and it made me feel inspired to write
this one,
Blossom, as a sort of a journal, so it's not a book you need to read, it's for you. And so it's just like, it's a big book, so you have to continue to use it. And it's for you. It's your self-help book, and that's why I have the questions in there to ask yourself, and make sure you're going on the right path. Make sure you stay intentional about what you're doing every day, and waking up every day. What am I doing? What do I want to feel today? And just continuing down
I think
that
that's
road.
important. I think enough people don't do that. Like, just taking the time to kind of like scan yourself and like check in with yourself,
Absolutely.
And I feel like some of us do it, but then we don't do it the right way. We kind of do it in a way that's kind of anxiety provoking, which is a way that I think when I was younger how I would do it, because I'm very analytical of myself. Like I pay like I'm like run things over in your brain like 10 times. But that's actually more harmful than
you're right. You're right. I started going to a therapist. She was like, you need to start challenging your thoughts. And so when you have a thought that says, oh, I'm not good enough, like ask it, like, well, where did that come from? Does that even make sense? Like where, like, challenge it and say, does that make sense really? And then you'll find that usually it doesn't. It's like, no, there's no base, there's nothing, just a baseless thought that comes into your brain, and so I had to start trying to be more gentle with myself, the way I'm gentle with others. Just because I'm really critical of myself. All the questions that are in there, I've asked myself. That's just who I am. I'm very analytical, and I always want to make sure that I'm being my best self. And sometimes that being anxiety, I feel like some of the things were counterproductive. Just because
so the first one is why is emotional transparency crucial in my healing?
Ooh. That's a great question. That's a great question. It's important to be honest with yourself. Okay. Don't try to trick yourself into thinking that you're at a certain place when you're not.
Yes.
You know? So don't say, I'm over this breakup. I'm over it. But in your heart, you know that you're not. And so you're skipping these steps that you need to go through in order to actually heal and move forward. And so when you trick yourself into saying, well, I'm over it, then you have to go back now and go through the process because you didn't give yourself enough time to do that. And so emotional transparency is crucial for your healing.
Yes.
Be transparent with yourself.
Yes.
Be transparent with others around you, the people around you who love you and who want to support you. Not have anyone. And I was to support me when it wasn't true. Yes. I had a support system. My mind was telling me, well, you don't have anyone there around you. Who are you going to talk to? And who cares really? You know, it was again with the thoughts, challenging your thoughts. And so I had to say, hold up, like, who do you have them? And I named my mom, my brother, my best friends. And I'm like, Jenai, you have so many people who love you. Like, why are you continuing this narrative that you don't have anyone to support you? And so
it's very true.
Yeah, so it's just emotional transparency to me, just checking myself again, always making sure I'm going about things the right way, being truthful, being honest, even if it's painful, even if it hurts, just because, again, that's just part of life. And once you get through that painful part, there comes a joy, there comes a sun, there comes the flowers, you know. So
which is where this comes from.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that I couldn't agree more. And I think self-care, that's probably the biggest way that I would define it. Like, before, you know, I feel like I've been on a self-care journey for a very long time in my life, you know, just learning how to cope properly and all those things since like late teenage years, you know. And what it's, the meaning that it holds, the truth, like the truest meaning to me right now is being real with yourself. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's just an issue that a lot of people have, just like they're just not real with anyone really, you know, or they don't even know what that is. Like, they could be thinking that they are, but I feel like it's about looking yourself in the mirror and being real with yourself. Like, what is going on right now?
And I feel like we live in a world where people are afraid to be who they really are. We want to put up this image of what we think people want to see. Yeah, you know,
so you can get your likes and so popularity.
Exactly, and then when you find that you're not getting what you really truly need, is because you're putting this false image of yourself, so people don't know exactly what you need because you're not being truthful. And so that's even with coming out, like being bisexual and stuff, I had to like really sit down and say, okay, that's exactly who I am. I need to own it, you know, just because I've known for a while, but I never said it out loud. And so once I said it out loud and I sort of claimed it, and then I was able to talk about it more, as I was able to tell my mom, you know, things like that. And so once I was able to get past that oh my god, how do I say it, is that wall
barrier,
I guess, that barrier of thinking about what other people are going to think about me. What about my family who are very Christian? You know, just like that. And like, what are they going to say? I can't be myself around other people. And what I found out that, well, the people who I love most are the ones who are, like, when I told my mom, she was like, okay. Awesome. That was it. So it wasn't such a big deal that I made in my head, you know, that it was. So definitely.
Yeah, and just to go off of like thoughts, I feel like a lot of the times we're our own worst enemy. Like, I feel like in our languaging and in things that we say, and even I've caught myself doing it, is like we put the blame to like outside people. Like, oh, people are hating, and no, it's like your mind, your brain will be your biggest hater sometimes.
It's
like,
true.
Your war is in your brain and your head, and like once you can defeat that, like you're just gonna notice how many more things open up in your life for you.
It's also being truthful as to when you maybe are the hater. You know, and so if you find that you don't like someone, like maybe as a woman, if you find that you don't like a woman for no reason, she hasn't done anything, but you somehow feel threatened, and then you start projecting that feeling on others, you know, and so you have to stop, pause, and say, oh, what am I doing right now?
What's
I'm
happening?
projecting my insecurities on her. She hasn't done anything to me. I don't know her. She doesn't know me. Like, why am I feeling this way? And so just being honest, like, we're not perfect. We all have things to work on, you know? And so I feel like, again, we are our own worst enemy just because we don't want to admit certain things to ourselves. Like, it's okay to be jealous. It's okay. Like, just find out why you're feeling that way. And something that I do is when I'm feeling like angry or upset, I say, well, why am I feeling this way? And then I say, where is this coming from?
Yes.
And then it's like, why is this bad?
Yes.
You know, and so if you're saying, I'm feeling sad, and like, well, why? And then I'm saying, like, why am I sad? And so where is this coming from? It's like, well, I feel alone right now. And it's like, well, what does it remind you of? And maybe you can say, maybe the thought will come up, well, it reminds me of when I felt alone when I was little, you know? And so, like, identifying where that thing is coming from and just challenging it. And
the thing is, so the next one, which I think is important, because I feel like as humans, we focus a lot, our brains go to, like, the past, and that's how we would define ourselves, or the future when we're, like, anticipating so much. So this one that you wrote is, if I continue to hold on to the pain in the past, what will happen? What will happen if I were to let go?
Whew. Yeah, that's a great one. Again, my goodness.
You're just killing it.
Oh my goodness. I think people hold on to what they're familiar with, even if it's toxic, even if it's painful. It's just what they're accustomed to.
Yeah.
And they just don't want to let go just because they fear. It's mostly fear of the unknown.
Yes.
You know, so if
which
people,
is kind of like what we were just talking about, trusting those signs.
Exactly. People are scared of what they don't know. Like most people afraid of death. It's not like they're afraid of death itself. They're like, what's gonna happen after? Like what? Like, I don't know.
Or they're so attached to what's going on in this materialistic world that they couldn't imagine.
Exactly, they can't imagine. So it's just about trusting that it'll all be okay. You don't have all of the answers now. And again, that's what you said. You need to trust that the answer will show up when they show up. If something is not feeling good to you, it's something is bringing you down, like you don't need to stay in a situation just because you don't know what's going to happen after. You know, and so have enough faith, have enough trust in yourself, enough trust in the universe that it'll get better. But you have to let go of what it is that's holding you back in order for this new thing to show up. You know, so you have to make the room for whatever you want to actually come to. If you're scared of presenting, like I have a presentation tomorrow, go just do it. Like what's the worst? And sometimes it's important to dive into your worst fears, and then you'll see that it's not that bad after all. And so
it's usually not.
It's not. It's like, I have this presentation, I'm so scared. Like what's the worst that's gonna happen? Well, maybe I'll stumble over a few words, and that's
maybe you won't.
Maybe you won't. Exactly. Maybe you'll do an amazing job. You know. And so
I feel like our maybes go to the negative too often.
So you're right, and I did that just now. It's like, but you have to, exactly what she said. Just trust. Like maybe some things are going to go great in your life, and so I had to break that cycle last year. I broke up with someone. You know, I think we were talking about. You know, he was a great person, but there were a lot of things that were not working, you know, and so I had to have enough trust in myself, enough trust in the universe that I deserve the absolute best. You know, and I've seen people say, well, you can't have everything, okay? Like, you have to choose. Like, it's either, you know, he's gonna be faithful or gonna take it. Like things like that. I'm like,
is a bare minimum.
Like, that's like the barest minimum ever. Like, come on. You know, I'm not saying he wasn't faithful. Yeah, exactly. Not saying he wasn't faithful. He was. You know, but there's just certain things I'm like, you know what? I cannot expect the best. If, you know, like what I want to say, I cannot think that the best is going to show up if I don't expect it. You know, and so
because life is going to give you what you expect, and what you feel like you deserve.
Exactly. And so I had that moment where I'm like, you know what, this is okay, but I deserve amazing. You know, I deserve amazing. I deserve amazing. And so I had to
men too.
And men, I had to break that cycle and said no. Like, I'm not going to settle for just okay. And I've seen that cycle play out in almost all of the women in my family, you know, and I speak to my mom, you know, a lot about it. And I love my father, like, love him. and he's a great dad, but he wasn't the best partner to my mom. And so once I realized, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna just settle for okay.
Yeah.
And once I did that, it was like a whole new perspective, world opened up to me, you know. And it's not just to be this perfect like thing, and we allow other people to disrespect us sometimes, cross boundaries. But again, you need to have boundaries.
Yeah.
It needs to take accountability for your lack of boundaries.
Yes,
And
for sure.
exactly,
That's a big thing.
Absolutely, and just taking accountability.
Because we like to call other people toxic.
Other people, exactly.
But we've allowed them to be
we allowed
toxic.
them, and it's not blaming yourself. Like, don't think of it as blaming. Just saying, you know what?
Just I need to make better.
Exactly. I did have a choice, and I chose to not have boundaries. Now I know better. Now let's put these boundaries to design the life I want to live. Like, that's it. That's it. Like, no one else. Like, it's me. It's up to me. And so once I realized that, I'm like, okay, well, I can do it. Even if it's painful, even if I have to break up with so-and-so, even if I have to, like, lose a friend, what I need to do is make sure I set this, like, build a life that I want to live. And making sure I am happy, making sure I'm putting myself first.
Well, I feel like that's a lesson I've learned too, and I'm constantly reminding myself to be kind and be gentle and accept where I am.
Absolutely.
So on that note, I would love for you to read a poem.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll read two. Okay, I'll read this poem that I wrote about my grandmother, and a little backstory on my grandmother. My dad's mom, and all of the grandkids would go over to her house every day after school. So she would take care of like 20 kids, 20 kids. And at the time, I didn't understand why she was so miserable. Like, she's just the worst, like, why are you so angry all the time? Like, let us go out and play. Yeah. And so as I grew up, and I didn't get to talk to her the way I wanted to talk to her before, she passed away. But I remember, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I remember my mom saying that if she could do it all over again, she would have never married the way she did, and so that was such a powerful moment for me, hearing that and thinking about how the other women in my family could feel as well, and how many other women all over the world have been trapped in this society that kind of places them on the back burner, and so I was
I'm gonna have to have you back for another show so we could talk about that.
You're right. Okay, let me read it.
Because that is a whole other good conversation to dig into.
Let me tell you. Okay. I really saw my granny smile. When she did, it was fleeting. I saw the stories her face told. She escaped reality for a moment, only to return moments later. I've always wanted to know why she seemed sad most days, angry, miserable, always miserable. I never understood why. I watched her cook, clean, and bathe all of her grandchildren 5 days a week while our parents were working. And I can't remember much, but there were times where I would catch her softness. She would close her eyes, hum a church tune, and move side to side. I remember her soft hair, her soft gray, wavy hair, and softer than anyone else in the family. She let me braid it once. It was the closest I ever felt to her, and it was the closest I ever got. I wish I had more to tell, because I know she did. I wanted to know more, if she was ever truly happy, if she had dreams, how she ended up where she was, miserable, lonely. She left before I got the chance. Now I just wonder. So, thank you. That's definitely one of my favorite poems, and
I think it speaks to just people. I think a lot of people have certain questions for their grandparents, that because I also I don't have the greatest relationship with for several different reasons. And it's just so many questions, that you feel like I could have asked and stuff like that. But I feel like, my grandfather passed away, God bless him, and I feel like I'm closer to him than when he was actual, here physically. But I feel like, because I feel like the spiritual, it's like so many variables are not there anymore. You know, it's like the human. Mm-hmm. You know, even though my human is still here, it's like his human is there, and he's more at a spiritual level.
Wow,
so.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, let me read one. The one more, I think it was page 42, and this was another poem that I found that a lot of people enjoyed. And so it reads, "Darling, the seed you planted is not growing. You watered it, gave it light, gave it air, gave it time, but it has not grown. You did everything you could. Do not blame yourself. Some seeds are just not suited for your soil."
Yes.
You know, and
I love that. Some seeds are not just suited for
you know,
your
and
soil.
so of course it talks about mostly relationships. Yeah. You know, and
I think friendships and romantic.
Every relationship, you know, anything that you can think of, business, you know, parental relationship, friendships, and romantic relationships. And just because something isn't working doesn't mean anything is wrong with you or anything is wrong with the other person. Like this people that's not all the way, you know, compatible sometimes, and that is okay.
Yeah.
You know, we're not meant for everyone, and I feel like once we fully understand that and don't someone else not maybe liking the person, you know, just personal offense to someone not liking you the way you like them or not wanting the same thing that you want.
Yes.
And understanding that we are all on our own different paths. And some people are just not going to resonate with you, and that is okay.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed your time here.
Yes, me too. Okay, so go ahead and check her out on Amazon, right? You can get these books, Blossom, A Self-Care Journal, and Unfolding, poetry. Okay.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Dear Jenai, DearJenai.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, follow, like, comment, and have a beautiful day.
Bye.